So today, who would like more energy? There's a quick question for you. Yeah, you want some more energy? Well, we've been sat for a while, so before I get into all the things, hey, guess what my type is? ENFP. And I've got a list of things to talk about, so that'll go out the window. We won't be using that. We're going to have a look at a few things. Banishing burnout. Who wants to improve the quality of their sleep this weekend? Yeah? Who'd like to, introverts I'm talking to more here, when you get so overwhelmed in a discussion or a meeting and you just need a quick reset between meetings, who would like to see that happen in real time and have a real go at it? Anyone do that? Yep, good. Anyone like a few stats, a few graphs, a few pictures? Bit of chatting on tables, bit of interactivity? Kind of good? All right then. So we've got a first bit, stretch. Now we want to stretch minds and we want to stretch physical body. So I'm going to ask you just to take a quick stand up. I'm following on from what Martin did earlier. Standing up is good. Now, very quickly for a stretch, I think once we shake out, I had a child that was once a toddler, and we used to do this shake your sillies out kind of thing. Do you remember that, parents, if you shake your sillies out? What we're going to do is just put our hands by our sides, first of all, and set the core up by kind of sucking in your gluteus maximus, keeping the core nice and solid. And as we breathe in for a count of 3 through the nose, we're going to end up with the aeroplane, okay? So breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Now slowly exhale, 3, 2, 1. Now the next one, we're counting to 5, and we will reach the ceiling with a count of 5. So ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does that feel good? Hold it there for a moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, looking around the room, we've got ages, all generations. Who remembers Michael Jackson's Thriller? Is everyone remembering that? If you're too young for that, have a look on YouTube. But do you remember the zombie dance where we did the claws and we did all this? Now it would be fun to create the claws. Let's create the claws. Let's do a quick side to side, 'cause I just want to see it. Halloween wasn't that long ago. So ready? Oh, beautiful. So with the claws, we're going to place them on our shoulders and gently with small circles, use our elbows to get small but larger circles as we go. It's perfectly normal that you might hear some clicking and creaking. That's okay. Just go within your limit, your range. Come to a slow stop and then think, okay, reverse small circles. Have a little bit of a shrug there. That's nice. Good. Now, I often wear ties at these events because the next one, I'll just let you just come to a stop there, just relax, covers up the buttons. Now, if you're like me and you're wearing a shirt, buttons are not what they used to be. And this next stretch has wardrobe malfunction possibility. So I'm going to look this way because I don't want to see anything I shouldn't, and I suggest you kind of all avert your eyes if someone near you is wearing a shirt. So we're going to start here, fingers in front like you're about to dive into a swimming pool off the edge of here, come round the back, lovely, rest it there just at the top, looking forwards, slowly now stretching. Do you see that stretch across the middle of the chest? The tie covers that well, but if not, hold it there, good stretch for a moment, and slowly ease off. There we go. Do you feel a bit younger and more vibrant now? Great, so let's take our seats and get right into the practical stuff. So thank you, good stretch. Now, we're going to have a quick discussion on the tables. And I've got a few things here. We're going to talk a bit about the energy crisis, which is really hitting us hard in corporate life. And my business, Zest Learning, we look at innovation, well-being, and leadership programs for lots of corporates. So my customers are the fly-in, fly-out workforce, which I've worked with a Adelaide-based company, Santos, for about 7 years as a customer of mine, law firms, banks, everything. And we try and really get in there to see what are the kind of behaviours and the sort of malaise, if you like, that's created us this huge drain of energy. If you're going through change, if you're about to implement a new process, if you've just got a lot of travel happening and a lot of deadlines and pressure, people are on the edge of burnout. Now, have a look at these questions up here. Are you sleeping less than 7 hours per night sometimes? Are you hungry every 3 hours? Are you exercising less than 3 times a week that gets you in a sweat and gets you moving? Are you unable to switch off from devices and technology? Do you find you take your iPhone to bed more frequently than your partner? I mean, for example. Are you often irritable, anxious, and overwhelmed? Just that feeling of, there's so much happening. So, if you can answer that, what I'd like you to do is turn to somebody or some people on your table and have a quick chat. How many of those could you answer, quite honestly, a yes to? Just for a brief moment. So take a minute to do that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of moving on, just wanted to have a quick check-in with that. So quick hands up. Who's got at least one? Who's got at least one of those questions I can answer? Two or more? Yeah. This is not meant to make you feel punitive or anything like that. I just want you to have a think about these things, because as we go in, I'm going to ask you another question now, and it's going to involve some hands up. Who thinks that demand has increased on them in the last 5 years, at home, at work, and socially? Just a quick show of hands there. So demand's going up. Now, who feels that they've got the energy to meet that demand constantly and consistently? I don't see so many hands. This is the equation I want you to think about. Capacity, the ability to do work, the ability to live with vitality and energy, versus demand. Now, one thing is for sure, as we all get older, our capacity will start to waver. And we need to think about our behaviours. Bernard Salt this morning talked about kind of wealth complacency. I'd like us to talk about health complacency. We think we've still got the energy of being in our 20s. We might physically in our head have that, but the body says something else. There's a few small shifts, and I hate this word with a passion, paradigm shift, but I want you to think a bit about going from what you think is the complacent way to a couple of new ideas, which hopefully will give you some practical things to take away. So capacity versus demand. Now, that's giving the answer away. How many hours have you got in a week? If you're quick, you saw it. 7 times 24, 168. So I want to go back to 1990s and find every person that wrote a time management book and bang them on the head with it. Because you can't manage time. You can manage the energy. So I want you to think about this paradigm shift. 168 hours is all you have got. What resource do you throw at deadlines, pressure, family life? What's the biggest resource other than money? It is time. What have you got less of all the time? Time. This thing is important. Take away 49 hours, that's 7 hours, 7 nights for sleep. There's 49 hours. I'm not a mathematician, but that leaves me 119 hours. That's all I've got. Take away another 7 for some physical movement that you should be having, whether that's a yoga class, a bike ride, or something physical. That leaves you with 112 hours. You are never going to have more than 112 hours. Managing time, waste of time. Manage energy for the time you have. Does that make sense? Now, how do you do that? Well, you have 3 fuel tanks. Now, we had Holden in before, and great. Diesel, petrol, kind of main way that we run, and hybrids, you might say. Human beings have technically 3 fuel tanks. Body, mind, emotion. Body, mind, emotion. There is a 4th, which once I've got people on the workshops and the engagement we have, once I've got those 3 right, we then look at purpose. If you've got no energy, how can you have any purpose? Because you're flat, you're burned out. Body, mind, emotion. These are not separate in the end. They knit together well. Now, in the 20 minutes we've got, I'm going to give you some tips on getting better sleep for body. We're going to have a look at how our mind gets overwhelmed and how we can recover. And I'm just going to give you a sense of some default behaviours. I want you to think of a default habit every day that you do. Probably a coffee is a good example, or opening your email. See if you can grab one of these practical tips and make that a default every day to boost your energy. So we're going to go there. Now, manage energy, not time. That's the big paradigm shift. You've only got 112 hours. Make sure that you're pacing yourself in the day. Tip number 1, work in no more than 90-minute sprints per day throughout the day. So every 90 minutes, take a stop and a refresh. That could be as quick as a stretch that we did. It could be the breathing technique I'm going to show you. It could be a quick walk outside in the sunshine. And those breaks need only be 3 to 5 minutes. Often we're sat there at our desk pushing through, hoping we're going to get more done. Every 90 minutes. Your body has something called an ultradian rhythm, which are 90-minute cycles. You need to respect those. So you're managing your energy in 90-minute sprints. Now, what we're going to have a look at next. Who's good at multitasking? Yeah? I hear the word no one. Well, that's true. I want to have a look at, but how often are we forced to multitask? Now, regardless of what type you are, that can feel overwhelming. J's, you've got your list of things to work through. P's, we've got our wish lists to work through, which don't kind of get achieved. But I'm going to have a look at this for you. So first exercise, we're going to do a table activity, and we're going to do, for the extroverts, but for the introverts, some reflection time and a bit of cognitive focus for the T's and the S's. Here is part of your brain. I'd like you to put your hand right here. Can you put it on your forehead? Is it warm behind there? You've taken on lots and lots of information today, so just let that relax. It's prefrontal cortex. Within there is willpower, decision-making, the executive thinking section of your brain. It's all the things that you've got to take in and work with. That gets overwhelmed. And when we start multitasking, we're on screens, we've got people, we've got the open plan environment, eyes in the room, introverts. How do you feel after a day of being in an open plan office? It's horrendous, isn't it? It drains your energy. You need to retreat. So that prefrontal cortex gets overwhelmed. And our mind, one of the fuel tanks, mind, gets overwhelmed. We're going to have a look at mind first, then we're going to go to body. So mind. Everyone in the room, if you could grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper, I'm going to show you a sentence, but don't write it down yet. That's the key thing here. Grab yourself a piece of paper and your pen. And the sentence and what we're going to write down in a moment is this. Multitasking is a myth, and the numbers 1 through to 20. Your task in a moment will be to copy that down. And I'm going to time you in 5-second intervals, and I'll shout out the time. Once you have finished writing that sentence and the numbers, when I say go in a moment, put your pen down and listen out for the closest 5-second timing so you know how long it took you. Does that make some sense? So you're timing you to write that. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. You're writing multitasking is a myth, and 1 through to 20. 5 seconds. 10. 15. 20. We'll go to 25 seconds. How about that? And there we are at 25. So everyone got a time? Somewhere probably between 10 and 25, I'd say. Now, the next one is a bit more challenging. This time, we're going to write exactly the same letters and numbers down, but we're going to change the order. Now, if there's any N's in the room, the creative types, you've probably worked out a way to cheat. You can write the letters with a big gap and then write the numbers. Don't do that. I want you to switch between letter, number, letter, number, letter, number. So you will write multitasking as a myth by interchanging letter, number, letter, number. So you'll follow on that pattern till you end with either number 20 or letter H. I can't remember what it is, but it's one of the two. So let's see how long that takes you. So you've got the sentence there already. You need to transpose that by going letter, number, letter, number. All right, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. 5 seconds. Takes a bit more brain, doesn't it, to do it? 10. 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. 40. Let's go for a minute. 45. 50. Just 10 seconds to go, see if we can complete it in a minute. 55. 60. Okay, so can someone shout out their round 1 versus round 2 scores? I'd just love to get a sense of how long that took people.
23, 25.
Really? Wow, pretty good. And so there, yeah. 10 and 20, yeah, and here? Yeah, cool. So nearly twice as long for many of us, but around the same for some. Now the thing is here, writing that whole script out with no mistakes and getting to H, 20 letters, 20 numbers written out there, it does take a bit more brain power, and particularly this time of the day. It's a multitasking exercise, switching between. And if you're not sure whether or not that's normal, have a look at trying to be on email while you're on a telephone conference. I've often received emails where someone's written what they're saying and they're clearly on a telephone conference. So the brain is not present in either, and we're thin slicing and overusing our prefrontal cortex. That is the way we're working often. You see people on phones in restaurants when they're with their partners, they're not really paying attention to either. So we're going to take this a step further. You'll need, if you are on a table of 3 or 2, to meet up with another table and form at least a 4 or a 5. So I can see there's a 2. You can join that table, makes 5. You'll need to find on your tables 4 or 5 people, either or. Just join so that you've got a table of 4 or 5. It's only for a minute, this activity, so you need 4 or 5 people. Just make sure you've got 4 or 5 people on your tables. Just give you a minute to get organised. Yeah, good. There's mostly tables of 4 or 5. Fabulous. If you've got a 6, that's all right. Don't worry. You can all move together. You can have a 6. Don't worry. It's good. All right. So you need groups of 4. Okay, so everyone, just a bit of information on this one. Can you all number yourselves in the groups of 4? Number yourselves obviously 1 through to 4. Where you've got a 5 or a 6, number yourselves 1 through to 6. Okay, so everyone has a number. So can you do that, please? Number yourselves. Yep. All right, so hands up number 1s, please. Number 1s, you will be the respondent. That will become clear on what you'll be responding to in a moment. Who's the 2s? Okay, 2s, you're going to ask number 1s personal questions of a decent nature, yeah? Barbecue chat, realms of decency. Yeah? Who's the 3? 3, you're going to ask number 1s factual questions. What's the temperature outside? What city are we in? What's 3 times 3? And you will do that while number 2 is asking questions of a personal nature. You're going to barrage number 1. Okay, so number 4s, I hope most of you are extroverts. Who's a 4? You will randomly animate and move. So as to distract number 1. Now, there is an introvert way of doing it. You can kind of raise your eyebrows and you can click your fingers, or you can do this. Number 1 must mirror number 4. Must mirror number 4. The extrovert way is the full Saturday Night Fever, spin around, do everything. The whole lot. All right. So number 4s, do you have your role? Now, number 1s, you must mirror number 4 while 2 and 3 are asking you questions. And this activity will only go for a minute. 5s and 6s. 5s, who said 5? 5s, can you watch how well 2s and 3s come up with questions and how well 1 and 4 mirror each other? You're watching. 6s, the same thing. Where you've got a 6, have number 5 watch 1 and 4, and 6s watch 2 and 3. All right? Just to see how well they develop questions and how consistent they are. We're going to go for a minute, and it's going to be absolutely mayhem in here. So 4s, be kind. 1's got to mirror you. 2s and 3s ask questions. 1, see how you go. 3, 2, 1, go! Told you there'd be some good pictures. Okay, and 3, 2, 1, time up. There we are. Well done. Well done. Good. Fabulous work. All right. So, I'm sure we will get a different result wherever we are in the room. Ones that have a really challenging job. Now, if you were, who was the number 1 that was an I, an introvert? How did you feel? Was it inundated? Any ones that were an extrovert? How did you, do you feel energized or a bit, yeah? So what I noticed with this is 2s and 3s, you've got to come up with questions, and very often it's hard to keep that going. Do people find that? It's kind of hard to keep on the roll. And 4s, well, you've got to mirror. How well did 1s mirror your number 4s? Was it pretty good? Yeah, it's just a bit of energy. Now, that can be quite energizing for extroverts. It can be quite draining for introverts. But if you listen to that noise in the room and the energy, I think you'll see that gives you an adrenaline burst. Would you agree? Now, sometimes that is a whole day's work condensed into a minute, where we're driving with 3 kids in the back, wife next to us or husband next to us, sat-nav, radio, everything. When we're driving, we get to work, we're overwhelmed. All day long, our prefrontal cortexes are going overload. Now, we need to find a way to banish the burnout from over mental capacity, so we don't get home and lay in bed, and suddenly we can't get to sleep because our mind's racing. Now, I'm going to give you all a quick recovery exercise, but for that, I'm going to need a volunteer. Now, there's a red chair sat here, so whoever sits here will not be seen by the rest of the audience. You're nice and safe. And all I'm going to do is check someone's heart rate for about 2 minutes. So have a quick think. Who's going to be the kind volunteer? And I will look after you. There'll be no humiliation. I promise I'll look after you. So, yeah, lady, I saw the lady's hand up at the back there in the stripes. Would you mind joining us? Round of applause, please. Thank you. And what was your name? Sasha, welcome, Sasha. Now, Sasha, I'm going to place Sasha. I told you there'd be some graphs, didn't I? So, great, here we are. This is a diagnostic tool, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat, Sasha. In here, we've got a thermodermic responder, which is very much like when you have your blood pressure taken. All we're going to see from Sasha's physical readout is her heart rate. So there's nothing to be fearful of, and I'll certainly not make Sasha feel uncomfy. Now, Sasha, have you got a fingertip there with no jewellery on it, which you could put in? Now, if this doesn't work, it sometimes is the case, thank you. It's not Sasha, it's the machines. It can be quite temperamental. So let's have a look at this. It's calibrating, and we're going to see a heart rate pop up in a moment, aren't we? Yes, we are. Good. So why is Sasha's heart rate 117 beats per minute, ladies and gentlemen? Why is that? 117. Yeah, she's walked up. Do you think there might be a bit of adrenaline? What's going to happen to me? Now, this adrenaline, this cortisol that's being released into the body, is a nervous reaction. And that could be how it feels when you are standing on the stage in front of a group of people. That could be how it feels when you walk out to give bad news. That could be how it walks out when you've got to announce a change program. That is a physiological response. Now, what we see on the graph is a few things. There's green, which is a garden of Zen-like calm. Now, despite quite a high heart rate, Sasha's in a good space, and it's already come down to about 89. Blue is the kind of good stress we have when we're motivated to do something, and red is just negative stress. So this is also a lie detector, so if anyone wants to ask Sasha any questions, let's see if that gives her a bit of stress. I think she's probably pretty cool. Oh no, look, there's a bit of a spike happening. So maybe over drinks later. But anyway, I don't want to make Sasha feel uncomfy, I promised you I wouldn't. And we've got a bit of red there, so now, I was trying to create a bit of stress there, but Sasha, you're now going to be looked after. So can I get us all to sit up nice and straight, including Sasha in the chair with your legs uncrossed. If you are wearing a dress or whatever, you can put your knees together and relax. Just keep your body and arms uncrossed. Now, for 90 seconds, we're going to do a breathing activity. Now, what I'd like Sasha, if you could do, if you can see the screen okay there? Yep. Can you take a nice, slow, deep breath in for a count of 3? Nice, slow breath in. 1, 2, 3, and hold it. Now slowly exhale for a lovely long slow breath of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold it for 2. And then to slowly start to breathe in again for a count of 3, and hold it for 2. And then slowly exhale for 5. And what you'll start to see is it will start to kind of undulate in a fairly regular pattern. Now for all of us here, I'm going to get you to close your eyes for 30 seconds, and I'll time you. How many breaths can you do in 30 seconds? Just breathe normally. It's not a competition to see how many. In fact, you're trying to just see what the regular breathing pattern feels like. 30 seconds, breathe normally, count each breath. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Counting your normal breathing. All right, there's 30 seconds. Now for the next 30 seconds, I'd like you to see if you can half or lower the number of breaths for 30 seconds. So whatever you've got round 1, try and half or lower it. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. If you do have your eyes open, you can see there's a little bit of green happening. It's just as it will change back again for Sasha. Okay, there's the time up. Now for the final round, round 3, I would like you just to keep lovely slow breathing, but don't worry about counting it. Just check in with what's in your mind. Just understand what emotion you're feeling and where your mind is. Does it feel calm? Does it feel scattered? Just checking in. As you breathe slowly, you don't have to count. Just for 30 seconds, breathing slow. Feeling the lungs inflate, holding, slowly exhaling. Now you can open your eyes. How do you feel? Do you feel nice and relaxed? A bit sleepy? Sasha's at 71% in green by a nice regular breathing. See a pretty regular pattern there. So I'll just take a pause there. That 90-second breath, you're bringing your body down for a mindful moment, a default behaviour. Every 90 minutes you can do that in the workplace. If you're an introvert that just needs to recharge briefly, you can do that. 90 seconds. Counting down slowly is mindfully aware of your body. And then scanning your brain to see how you're feeling might well prevent you having a bit of a hissy fit at somebody because you feel constantly on the churn. It's a pause in the day. It's a great thing to do if you can't sleep and your mind is busy, or you wake up with a bad dream. It's a nice way just to refresh. I've got companies doing this as part of meetings, conferences, everything else, and they're starting to see a stopgap in the day that promotes an interest to take on mindfulness meditation. 90 seconds, not much of an investment. Quick round of applause for Saro. She got 71% green. Well done, thank you, thanks. That's really good. So it's a quick recovery. Now, many of you from 90-second recovery, when in doubt, breathe out. You are switching on your parasympathetic nervous system, bringing down the cortisol, breathing out. You can't be in red when you're nice and calm. It's exhaling. Now, who wants to improve their sleep? That's the deepest renewal you will get. We call this ritualizing renewal. So Banish Burnout tip 2, ritualize renewal. Every 90 minutes, take a quick 90-second breathe break. Now, who wants to improve sleep? All right, then we're going to go there. Can you imagine a grain of rice? Normally I throw rice into the audience, but I didn't want to create an issue there. So a grain of rice, part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, it's linked to your eyes, your optic nerve, guides your sleep-wake cycle, and we've got to respect it. Now I'm going to give you some quick tips. What does it feel like in your body when you're tired? What kind of food do you crave? Chocolate. So your body needs more energy just to stay awake. Where's your mood at when you're tired? Grumpy? How's your mental focus? It's all over the place, isn't it? Now, Charles Czeisler from Harvard University calls this functional intoxication. When we have not slept, we're sleeping less than 6 hours, 2 nights in a row, we actually have the same cognitive impairment as driving on 0.1 alcohol in the body. We are cognitively impaired, and we take it for granted. We give up sleep when we want to do more time. We give up our exercise to fit more in, and we wonder why we're burned out. Now, I know that I can't stand here and preach perfection for people who've got new kids, perhaps, in the family or going through quite a challenging time. Get your sleep right. This is the key thing for make better emotions and banishing burnout, full stop. I'm going to give you 5 quick tips. Number 1, lock in your wake-up time 7 days a week. That rice-sized part of the brain needs a regular pattern. So waking up at the same time every day locks it in for you, 7 days a week. Once you get through the pain of doing that for 3 weeks, you'll start to see that your body naturally will wake up. Does anyone wake up without an alarm clock? Yeah, so you start to get your body in sync. Next one, 7 to 8 hours of unbroken sleep. This is the holy grail. There is an enormous polarity between obesity and poor sleep. Your body releases ghrelin, the hunger hormone, when you don't sleep. So actually, if you sleep better, you'll be thinner and healthier. And there's a fact here, your body starts to release the hunger hormone ghrelin. That's why I asked the question, are you hungry every 3 hours? And why do you crave sugar? Because you're not sleeping well. Next one, manage caffeine. Work out your go to bed time and take 7 hours off of that. 7 hours off your normal go to bed time. That is the last time that you can have a caffeinated drink. Tea, coffee, Red Bull, Coke, chocolate. Caffeine sits in your system and it disrupts what we call delta waves, the type of waves that produce deep sleep. When you drink coffee, it sits in your body for 7 to 8 hours, and it's a physical impossibility for your brain to get into delta wave, which means the first hour and a half of sleep, which normally happens half an hour after you fall asleep, is your deepest sleep. You're not getting that deepest sleep, which is why you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning. If you're anxious or got a racing mind, caffeine turns the amplifier up to 11. Next one, bedtime digital detox. What colour light comes out of a computer screen? Blue. Just like daylight, your body and brain can't tell the difference. That suprachiasmatic nucleus linked to your optic nerve says, lights are on, wake me up. So you're led there looking at a Kindle with bright light at you, or whatever, or laptop. You are absolutely, might as well go and lay on the MCG with the lights on, because you're not going to get your brain into a calm state. Try and digital detox at least 40 minutes before bedtime. We didn't have these gadgets 15 years ago. And you can see the impact it's having on our sleep. Blue light, caffeine, these are the things to kind of watch for. Now, if you've got an iPhone, you can put night shift on, which gives you a bit of a help. And I can talk to you about that later on. Now, finally, catch the sleepy wave. Anyone fallen asleep on their couch a little bit earlier than they'd wanted? When you start to spot the sleepy signs, get to bed. Melatonin's released but once a day. Blue light kills melatonin at night, which is why you don't want to be on screens. When you lay in bed with no screens and you fall asleep in bed, it's great. If you wake up on the couch, the problem is it takes another 90 minutes to be tired again, which is just enough time to have that mind racing, worrying about what's happening tomorrow, what you didn't do well today. So try and use that sleepy wave in bed. Now finally here, exercise. This is the golden way to get rid of banishing burnout. I work with a company, Santos, fly and fly out miners, and much like they did at Holden, we started to bring a wellbeing program in for those guys and girls there. And what we started to see was that getting them on a regular exercise program and the sleeping well and having power naps in the workplace, we saw an enormous upturn in engagement, reduced safety incidents, and more energy. The focus was to get as much energy at 6 o'clock to go home to your families as you did have at 10 a.m. And what we started to see with sleep and with exercise happening, it really boosted it. So there were things like 30 minutes, 3 times per week, of exercise that gets you out of breath, just as a starting point, has the same effect, Harvard Business Review put this out here, as a mild antidepressant in terms of the serotonin release, the endorphins, and everything else. Working as a psychologist with a lot of companies, I'm often asked, am I anxious or depressed? I want to challenge you all about banishing burnout. If you sit there and you're having a bit of a wobble at work mentally, and we all do sometimes, or you're finding your relationship's a bit challenging, you feel burned out from the constant conflict that you have sometimes, before you start going saying I'm depressed or I'm anxious, ask yourself the following 4 questions. 1, have I slept at least 7 hours 4 nights out of the last 7? Have I done exercise at least twice this week that's got me out of breath and I've burned off some of that cortisol? Have I eaten regular meals throughout the day and hydrated? Have I connected with a human being in person? If you can answer yes to all those 4, then there may well be a chance to talk to your employee assistance program or reflect on your mental health. But until you can, if you can say no, if you can answer yes to any of those, and no to any of those, look at that cause in the body before you start looking at the emotions in the mind. It's a massive impact. And for any of you that are struggling with sort of a bit of anxiety, a bit of fatigue at the end of the week, that irony of giving up that caffeine after 3 in the afternoon, you won't need it anymore because you'll be sleeping so well. It just takes a bit of pain to banish the burnout. And what I can say to you is, in very quick summary, body renewal every 90 minutes, sleep 7 hours, exercise 30 minutes 3 times a week. On the mind, if you're multitasking, try and spend at least half an hour a day doing a single task undistracted. You'll be more effective. Look, you were twice as quick with the numbers exercise. If you're having to multitask and you're an eye, make sure you do that 90-second breath before you go to your next meeting. Banishing burnout's been a real crusade for me, and we run 2-day programs on helping people manage their emotions, their mind, and we measure them before and after with questionnaires and lifestyle surveys, heart rates, cholesterol levels, all this stuff, and give them diet that helps people get through it. Small changes that I've tried to give you today, some practical tips, are just the tip of the iceberg. And what I'd suggest to you is if you want as much energy, try some of these things and take them away. But I hope you had fun with the exercise at the table. I'll leave some space for questions, and thank you for your attention at this time of day. I appreciate your involvement. Thank you.